welcome to my home, or what soon could pass for my home if the Ontario government has its way. One of the things that was suggested to me in my own sort of musings about my future and how I should is that I should get myself on a list now to get into a care home of some sort when it becomes necessary for me to choose how I'm going to live for the rest of my life. Determining how we're supposed to live out our senior years shouldn't be about where the money goes, who gets the money. And that's what this whole a bed being your home thing sounds like. It should be about how well you live it, how vibrant you remain, how much a part of your community you can be, how happy your years on this planet are. That's what I think. I don't think that it's possible really to equate a bed in a nursing home with a home. How do you you do that? Your bed is not your home. Your home is your home, where your tea and coffee cups are, and where your favorite pillow is, and how often you get to curse the squeak in the door, and all of those things that are your home, your photographs and your knickknacks and everything that becomes your bubble bath and the creams and lotions and the scent of your laundry soap and fabric softener and all of those things. Those are home things. When you walk outside onto your front porch, where does the sun hit you, and what do you hear when you first go outside? Those are the things that make a home. Not your bed, and not the few things that you can put up on a wall that when you walk into what is deemed your space, where you see yourself and maybe some memories of your past life. That isn't accommodating, that isn't mentally stimulating, that isn't respecting someone's age, someone's lived experience. It's not a home. Aging in place would always be the first choice for anyone who is in a position of becoming a senior or has a disability, because these are the places that you know the best, that you are the most familiar with, that you feel comfortable, and that you know where things are. You know where the grocery store is. You know where the nearest fire hydrant is. You know who your neighbors are. All of those sorts of things, and that would be the best possible choice in the most perfect world. It may not be as possible if there are some physical disabilities coming into play at the time when you really want to do it. But that's where tiny homes can come in. Just because you have a mobility issue doesn't mean that you should give up your freedoms. Just because you are in your early 80s, say, for example, that you should start to depend on other people to tell you when it's time to eat, when it's time to go and do some crafting that you really don't want to do in the first place. You'd rather just kind of hang out and read a good book, or, remember things and look out the window and or listen to birds or do any of those things. It's self-determination. It's being in control of your own life. Those are the things that are. It's about being given the respect that you're due after living the life that you've lived. It's about making a care available for you in your own home. But remembering that we're all just people. You know, we're all alive and we're all eventually going to get old. We're all eventually going to need all the same things. And what's the best way to take care of us? Now, I am somebody personally who loves the idea of tiny homes and van life, that sort of thing. But for tiny homes, they are legal in Ontario. There is a minimum size. They must be 188 square feet at a minimum, and they need to be able to be used year-round. A tiny home, according to the Ontario Building Code, can have wheels or not. You do need a building permit for them, and the municipality is the one that reviews the suitability of the lot and the house plan. Okay, now the lot, it says you can park or build your tiny home on an empty lot or on a lot that already has a house as a secondary dwelling. Both cases will have size and setback, etc. So as we have seen here, where in Elliott Lake, where they've started saying you can divide up your lot and put secondary buildings so that you can make some extra cash kind of thing. All right, and the house plan is the house must conform to the Ontario Building Code, and there will be multiple inspections throughout the building process. Okay, as there well should be. I mean, you know, you don't want something that's going to fall down around somebody or not be warm, not be structurally sound, not be subject to mold, all of those kinds of things. Okay, and if your house is built in a facility CSA certified for building manufactured homes, you don't need the additional inspections. So there are lots of places that build tiny homes and then deliver them to you. And this is an advantage because the secondary inspections don't necessarily need to be done. However, RV certifications don't suffice. So in the case of recreational vehicles, which we have here, we have a trailer park where people have taken trailers and turned them into permanent living structures. They're up on pier blocks or they've built a basement for them and stuff. They are, like, you can't just sort of go like, okay, well, it was an RV and everything was cool, so here you go. You know, we're great. You do have to have those inspected. You have to follow all of the rules and stuff to make them livable as far as the Ontario Building Code is concerned. And it says, if you have a house on wheels, you might not be able to have a sleeping loft due to the ceiling height regulations. Sleeping lofts must be accessed by stairs, not ladders, with appropriate railings and barriers. Lord forbid. I could just see, I've seen the ones that have the ladders in them and they're cute and all, and a bit of Little House on the Prairie-ish, but oh man, I would not want to have to try and climb a ladder. Or, okay, worst comes to worst, okay, and you know, as you get older, these things become a problem. In the middle of the night, you say to yourself, gotta get me to the bathroom, and you've got to kind of try and wake up enough to get out of a lowered ceiling space, which is the loft, over to a ladder and climb down, right, to get to the bathroom. All of this in enough time. And then when you come back out, you've got to climb back up, and I would end up sleeping on the couch an awful lot. That's just me. So oh man, that would be funny. And the whole banister thing, a lot of the tiny homes that you see featured in Facebook and places like that all have this sort of like open staircase. Kind of looks almost like building blocks placed up there. A railing would be a really good thing because otherwise they're dangerous and you're coming down them in the dark, or you're coming up and down very quickly carrying something, a banister is a really good idea. Buying a used tiny house or importing one might be challenging due to the inspection requirements designed for on-site construction. It's an interesting concept to say used tiny house, because every single house you've ever bought, generally speaking, is used unless you've built it yourself from scratch. And then there's rules for moving the house. It says moving the house can be difficult due to regulations and inspection complexities. Remember that while tiny living is legal in Canada, in Ontario rather, it is essential to navigate the regulations and ensure compliance with building codes and local bylaws. And that's where the problems are in. And so you just have to make sure that you follow along. But I do think that there is a case to be made for having these types of communities available, especially to seniors and persons with disabilities, families with children with disabilities, those kinds of things, because it makes better financial and physical sense to be in a space that is both yours, has a community behind it, and is smaller and more able to be managed, rather than being somewhere where your space, your time, everything about what goes on is managed by someone else. But that's when you need to look at other alternatives, long-term care for sure, but tiny homes as well. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave me a comment and maybe a like if that's something that you would like to do. And thank you for joining us, and I'll see you in the next one.